Hello everyone, my name is Megan Stacey. I am the artist in residence for the Tech Lab, and this is the second of a series of workshops we will be doing in art and technology throughout the season. We're starting off with a series of workshops on video, culminating in a film festival on October 2nd. So if you'd like to participate, please do any of the projects provided on the YouTube and send them on over to the library. Today we're working on Twisted Fairytales. This will be a workshop on adaptation, storytelling, and narrative filmmaking. The first step is to list out every fairy tale that you know. These could be Disney fairy tales, Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm brothers, Greek mythology, nursery rhymes, whatever you think classifies as a fairy tale. Now, look at your list and pick the one that you are the most familiar with and the most excited by. I highly recommend going to someone in your house, sitting them down, and telling them the whole story to be sure that you know it right. Once you know the story so well, you could be that story's teller. Let's mess it up. I want you to look at your story and spend some time with these 3 prompts, coming up with as many examples of this as you possibly can. Prompt number 1 is to place the story in a different setting, context, or time period. Prompt number 2 is to change one key piece of action or plot within the story. Prompt number 3 is to change one character, either how they act, how they are, or replace them with someone new completely. Look at everything you've written down and choose 1 or 2 changes that you've made that feel the most exciting to you. That will be the basis for your story. Now let's flesh it out. As you write down your new story, let's think of these questions. If you've changed the setting or context of the story, how does this affect how the characters act? Do they have access to things they haven't previously had? How does this change the overall mood or tone of the tale you are telling? If you've changed an element of the plot, how will this affect the story as it moves forward? What do the characters think of this new change? Do they know that this isn't how the story usually goes? If you change how a character is, what might this new character do they would have previously never done? How do the other characters around them feel about this change in personality? What do they do when a whole new character is introduced to the story? Spend some time writing out your story in response to these questions. Feel free to really mess with it. Really ask yourself, what is the most absurd thing I can do to this fairy tale? Now we're going to make our movie. No matter how complicated you may have made your story, for the sake of making a movie, we're going to break it down into its basic story arc. A story arc kind of looks like the hill of a roller coaster, and it starts with these elements: the exposition, the climax or the inciting incident, the rising action, the conflict, the falling action, and the resolution. And you're going to physically write out what are the elements in your story that fit in each of those sections. These basic pieces that you've determined are going to be the scenes in your film. We don't need any crazy subplot, any incredible exposition. This is a short movie where we're getting to the point of what you've done. Now, how are you going to make this movie? I'm very aware that gathering lots of people and cast and crew together onto a big set is impossible in any circumstances, let alone now. So we're going to talk about some alternatives to making movies at home. The first idea is to gather the people in your house, including your pets, and try to get them to participate and be your movie stars. You could be the star in your own film, donning multiple hats, either literally or figuratively, and acting as all the different characters throughout the story. You could recruit your friends to record their own segments at home and then smash them all together at the end. Or you could record your voiceover to go over a handmade storybook, a whiteboard drawing, or even some sort of stop-motion animation. Once you have picked how you're going to tell your story, we're going to make a storyboard. So for each of the moments of that arc, you're going to draw out a box. You're going to make a box for exposition, inciting incident conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. In each of these boxes that you've drawn, draw out the shot that is most fundamental to that part of the story. You only want to have 1 or 2 shots for each part of this story. This isn't trying to come up with something really, really complicated in terms of cinematography. You're trying to envision in your head exactly how that element of the story happens, and that's what you're filming. Once you have written up your story, set up your plot outline, planned out your storyboard, and figured out how you're going to make your movie, send it on over to the library so we can see it. We can't wait to see what you make.